Hey!
Hi. Hello. And welcome to the Partner Panel. Okay, they can hear us. We're good. Hello.
Good morning.
JPI, yes, JPI warning. Just in case. You have been warned. Yo! We're back. Happy New Year, everybody, by the way. I haven't actually told everybody in the voice chat in person. Now that I think about it, Happy New Year, guys. Hope y'all are good.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And you know what's crazy? I was literally talking with Mangoose for like 4 hours yesterday. It slipped my mind. Didn't even think about it. Oh, man. Happy New Year, everybody watching, guys. Welcome to the next episode of the Default Partner Panel. We didn't do an episode last week. Kind of my fault. I'll be real with you. So, might be.
Hey, I never said who it was. I just said we were having PC issues. I never said anything.
Hey, man. if everybody doesn't know by now, usually I'm the one that runs all the tech shit, right? So, unfortunately, had PC issues last week, but we're back at it. It's a new year. There isn't that much to talk about, which we are going to talk about. And we have an excellent cast here. I don't know why I just repeated excellent twice. We got ourselves Bearded, Mangoose, and Russ going from last mentioned to the first mentioned. Introduce yourself, guys.
Yo, it's Russ. Hey, friends. It's been a long time since I've been on the partner panel, and I'm happy to be back. Thank you guys for the invite. I appreciate it. Happy to be chilling with the Default family over the Default partner panel. So happy to be here.
Chilling with the villains. Appreciate you having you. Appreciate you being here. Happy to have you. Bro, what is wrong with my words today? Oh my God. All right, my bad.
Moving.
Dude, you have no idea. I'm overwhelmed.
Box somewhere when you're unpacking.
Homie, I don't even know what English is. Go ahead, Mango.
What's up, everybody? The Mangoose, you are awesome. And yeah, I play Fault. I'm on the panel.
I'm not a fan.
Damn, bro. You okay? Need a hug?
Yeah. It's because you didn't wish me Happy New Year's until like just now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
I've been sad about that shit.
Oh, you want some Velcro, bro? That's all I can say. Go ahead, Bearded.
I'm the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan wonder. Fall partner. Actually, this is the first time in a long time we got a full partner panel. So great to have it. Let's go. Yeah, we haven't had this in a while, so it's good to see. Good to see. But yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation. We missed a week.
Yeah, man. And you know what? In retrospect, well, actually, before we actually get into it, what's up, guys? If you don't know, I am WinduTheMace, aka Windu. Basically, we all essentially here keep up with Paragon remakes or, after the fact. But this that you're watching now is specifically just Fault related. We might bring up other games sometimes in comparison. So fair warned. But we do try to keep it at least Fault related. And we do our best to keep all of our comments, opinions, everything at least somewhat constructive. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point of these videos. Not only to inform, but to, kind of give our feedback about things. And the first thing that I want to hit y'all with, and we're just going to hit hard off the gate, right? The first thing I want us to talk about is, how does Fault make you feel right now?
Really good, actually. I think it is so much improved. Like patch 14 brought so many new features that were really, really cool. And my biggest problem was that optimization shit. They fixed that. And it's awesome. I love it. Like, I mean, I know we're going to talk about their kind of lack of interaction with the community this week, but I say, give them boys a break. They've been working hard, man. like the game is in a really good place right now. Matchmaking isn't the greatest, but a lot of that has to do with me matching up with subscribers and stuff. So there's just a huge skill gap range. So you never know who you're going to be teamed up with. But if I like solo queue, then I'm usually matched up with what I would call appropriate skill levels, which is dog tier, but
I can't, bro. Interesting. Any of you guys want to chime in on that?
Russ, you want to take a spot?
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I feel very similar in that way. I think 14 so far is obviously we came in with, it's a huge patch, right? There's a lot of changes. We obviously saw off the forefront that this is a huge patch, and there's lots of chances for bugs to slip into a huge patch when you're making a lot of changes like that. And they, I mean, I think they showed that they were the week that 14 came out, like there was some pretty big issues with people getting kicked out and not being able to reconnect and things like that. And they were able to fix that within a couple hours. Like I think before even like I had played like 2 games, and some of the main issues that I had run into in those first 2 games were already hot fixed by that point. So I think they put a lot of work in. And I think that in terms of since the new year, I'd like to see them like take breaks if they need it. I don't want them to get burnt out. Like that's the worst thing we would want is for that team to not, to just get burnt out and not want to continue to push content. So I'm happy to see them taking a break, in my opinion, this week as they've spent time with during the holidays with their family and whatnot. But yeah,
right. I personally, 14 came out, played when I played 14, really enjoyed it at first. And then my PC was just getting hit with the lag drops and the optimization issues that were there. And it just really made it frustrating to play the game. And I was having some issues. And this patch that we're going to be talking about here shortly has made that change back to where I'm actually able to enjoy the game and enjoy what 14 has brought us. But I think mainly the issues I'm having with the game isn't really matchmaking is fine. I've always had those matchmaking issues, man, Goose, because I always play with whoever comes into the stream and wants to play. Hey, can I join you? Bring it on, and like whoever that may be. It doesn't matter if they're high elo, if they're low elo. Now it's just going to throw off matchmaking the way it goes. So I've always had those matches. I'm not too worried about that. I just feel like, like it looks right now, if it doesn't matter what character you pick, you're picking Sword of Souls as your go-to. Yeah. You're picking Rogue as your aspect. It doesn't literally like they're putting Rogue on a support character on phase. Put Rogue on her, and it's like, well, why would you put Rogue on a support? Like it just like you can think about it, it makes sense, right? But then also you like, why is that you wouldn't like? Well, let's just do Rogue Narbash now too. I mean, why not? Like, we'll just put like things that you normally wouldn't do, but because that item or that system or that aspect is that overpowered at this point, or overtuned, I guess we'll say, it's something that you just see it all the time, and it takes away. It really is the meta, and it takes away from diversities, and that's where I think the changes really need to happen.
You know what? I think Rogue would just be way better if it didn't combine, like if it didn't let you get stacks with physical hits and abilities. Does that make sense? Like if it were just one of the two, either or, for example.
Right.
It'd probably be way more balanced, but the way that they have it, like literally any character that can use an ability to cancel an auto can technically proc it. Like, I don't know. I think that might be the major flaw with it.
You don't even need to do that. I mean, it's like very easy to proc, like even without having to auto cancel.
Right.
But if they put it only on basics, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think even with just having it on basics, right? Like you could still proc it pretty fast. I think the biggest thing with it being on abilities currently, and the reason you can run it on, say, like a phase, is that like one ability, it's just instances of damage right now. So one ability can proc Rogue. So like phases Lance can proc it so easy, because not only can you do an instance of damage with the Lance on one hero, but you could Lance through both of them and get 2 instances of damage just off that one Lance, and then the second proc hits and she's already procced Rogue. and it's like, you could do the same thing with the, gadgets, her slow, what do you call that? The seek and destroy mine. It can proc it all within one ability. I think that's one of the things that's really, it's enabling a lot of burst on heroes that shouldn't have burst really, because then it's very, very exploitable. I think that if you changed it so that it only happened off of an instance of damage once per ability or once per basic, then that would totally change the way the card works, and maybe it wouldn't be as powerful. But I mean, I don't know like what's too powerful and what, like, I mean, with testing, obviously it needs to come down because everybody's using it, but like to what level do you bring it down,
Right.
That's a great
there's
point
definitely
too.
balancing to it, and that's what we got to figure that out. But it's something that needs to be done, in my opinion, just because you said it, you're using it on everybody. Like that's something like the whole, like there's literally no point of having all those aspects when we guarantee everybody's using Rogue, and then we'll pick one of the other ones. Like it's just, you want to take away from that meta, so then you're not just always picking that. Same with Sword of Souls, like or even the other stacking items. Like they can be pretty strong. With the way they're going. I know they got nerfed a patch ago, not this patch that just happened, but the patch before that, I believe they got nerfed in the sense of how long it takes you to stack them, but you're still getting the same stats out of it. It just takes you longer to get to that point. So
You get a little bit less because they did nerf the end result gain of it. Go ahead, Mangus, maybe.
No, sort of. So I just think you got to take feel into consideration too. Like Rogue feels strong because you see the immediate result of using Rogue, whereas Templar doesn't feel strong, but everybody uses it anyway because that being able to, transfer your armor to your carry as a support is going to be powerful. It's going to be strong, but you never really see those results. So it's going to be difficult for them to balance Rogue in such a way that it doesn't feel as impactful, but is still impactful.
Well, you know what that reminds me of?
Come in.
I don't know if you remember, Mangoose, but there was an item that used to be a red item back in like OG Fall, like first version of Fall, called P-Blade. And that's what eventually ended up becoming Gravedigger Crossbow. Now, P-Blade did the percentage damage as additional damage. But then they were like, hey, when they made a Gravedigger Crossbow, they're like, hey, we got to tone that shit down. Let's put a cap on it, etc. Right? Because percentage damage was just a little bit too strong. And I was kind of shocked when I saw Rogue. I was like, hey, Loki brought back P-Blade, but now everybody can use it.
right.
I was like, I don't know why they did it, but I will say the purple aspects do need a little bit of love. They have for a while. There isn't really too much reason, at least before, to pick those purple aspects. Now it's like it's the only thing to pick, low key.
There's just some stuff you can't place a numeric value on, like the armor thing. Like I said with Templar, you could calculate that out. You could do a spreadsheet and show how much damage you're mitigating via Templar. You can take Rogue with that damage, and you can show how much more damage you're going to deal with a combo of abilities and whatnot. But how can you put numbers on something like, was it Aggressor that makes you leave fog walls with a speed boost?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't really quantify the impact that that's going to have on the game with certain players.
Yeah, that's
Like,
more of a feel thing. And it's
I think
independent.
personally Aggressor, for that reason, for that speed coming out of fog walls, is a very undervalued aspect, because that's really good on junglers, because you see too many junglers initiate attacks with their movement ability when they shouldn't. Like you see a Chimera ambush and then Gideon just blinks away, whereas he probably should just run up on the Gideon, wait for him to blink, and then ambush. But with Aggressor, you don't need that movement ability to get to your target. You just burst out of that fog wall and you're on top of them. So, but you can't quantify that. You can't quantify that the same way you do with Rogue or some of the other ones.
That's true. That'll come down to more feels.
Windu says it's a feel. You feel how that one is. You don't, but there's nothing really. It doesn't. It's something that's like, as a sports fan, you don't see it on the stat sheet, but it definitely helped out.
I have something to say about specifically the sort of souls that I find kind of interesting, specifically with the fact that it's a stacking item. I've been thinking about this on a different angle recently, and I was you have to stack by getting last hits with said item, and it's one of the first times they've come in and, like, other than Sevarog, like, had stacking items, which I think is pretty cool. An evolving stacking item is cool to have in the game, and same with Mana Lens being changed to a stacking item is
cool,
it's more exciting, right?
Yeah.
But another thing it does, and another thing I've been noticing, is that at lower elos, I'm seeing a lot more people actually farming. And maybe this has all been a ploy to get people to start farming, because this card's so powerful. Now actually people have to think about, like, stacking for the first time. They're like, oh, stacking is, like, actually farming, getting CS is a pretty big play.
It's a necessity.
Maybe this was all just a ruse.
Right.
Maybe this was all just a big brain play to get people to actually start getting CS. I don't know. I'm just probably not the intent.
I was about to say that's a lot of credit, but I mean, who knows, right?
It is.
I don't know.
It is great for that. I agree with you, Russ. Like, you do see people are now working on their last hits, and it's improving that part of the game, the laning phase and stuff like that. I just think that the card itself is too strong in that regard. I don't know if it's the ending, the fact that we're getting, you're getting 110 physical power off of it, once you finally have it fully stacked with all the additions. Like, do you take the starting physical power and drop it, like bring it down to where you start off, you're only getting 20 physical power off of it. So then you add, then all the stacks stay the same. And then you're only going to end up with having, I don't know, like at the 85 physical power at the end of it instead of 110. It's still a good item at that point. But you're, starting off, it's not going to be as strong.
Well, that's the way stacking items should be.
Yeah.
TBH, like, if you look at other MOBAs that have stacking items, it's if you pick a stacking item first as opposed to a traditional item, it's supposed to be a weaker item. Off rip. The whole purpose of it is that over time, if you play properly, the item itself will evolve to a higher tier item, and you get that reward of investing into the item. But somebody has the potential to have a power spike sooner by not going a stacking item. The problem with Sword of Souls is, as soon as Sword of Souls comes online, as soon as you build it, you're already fucking clapping people, right? And then for the next 10 minutes, the clap factor 3000 starts escalating, basically. What you brought up, Bearded, like removing, or not necessarily removing, but lowering the base stats might not be a bad idea, quite frankly. Another way to do it would be, if you do want to give them solid base stats, just make it so the earned rewards, you don't get them until you reach final stacks. Like
lose stacks on kill, lose stacks on death. That'd be an easy way to balance it.
Bro, could you imagine?
Not all the stacks, but stacks on death.
Bro, that would tilt people. But I love that. Can you imagine? It's like, hey, you gain 5 stacks per kill. You lose 5 stacks per death. Oh. I don't know if they would do that.
It's really like this idea that Russ brought up of guiding the players towards the gameplay that they should be doing via items. Like, I love that idea. Like, nah, nobody's stacking. Let's give them this stacking item that's super powerful. Now they'll start farming. Let's do that with wards. Let's do a ward that gives you 3 gold every time it reveals somebody. Maybe somebody will put on a fucking ward. Oh, amazing.
Yeah, make our super powerful ward. And
Yo,
I should really start using wards.
Did you just figure out how to make support items actually good?
Hey.
Like the support starters actually good? What?
If you remember, Paragon had certain wards that would give status effects in the radius of the ward. Like, you would give you decreased damage or increased attack speed or some shit. I forget what that ward was, but it definitely existed.
Yeah, I mean, wards were different, right? Wards were an actual item in Paragon rather than it being a like ward slot. Other than obviously,
other than the support items, yeah.
it's different here because we have an extra like ward trinket slot in this game rather than it filling a slot and being an actual card. So I think it needed to have more use to it in that, whereas now it's just an extra thing that everybody gets. It's not something you had to buy. I understand why there's less impact to them. But it would be interesting to have something that like you picked different wards. Right now there's only the Rad Pulse and the normal, and then of course the Sentry, which is bot. But like it would be cool if they had different uses. Like it was like boots where like every ward was a little bit different. That'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Like but ward specific items. Like imagine a ward jungle item that works just like a Rad Pulse, but if you successfully eliminate another ward with it, it'll give you like 3 gold or whatever. So you would get rewarded by building this specific ward item. Like there's other ways that you can do it into laning. I hate him.
A ward that gives you awards, you're rewarded.
I hate him.
Jesus Christ, Bearded. Why do we?
All right, we have a slot. We have a slot open in the partner panel, everybody. If you'd like to apply, go to weneedone.org and fill out an application. Jeez. Oh man, but let's hit up some of the changes they did just before the new year, right? So one of the things that they did is they adjusted some of the aspects on Rook. They fixed an issue where Rook was apparently just flat out not working. So that's good. That's actually working now. On the draft and loading screen, the pre-draft loading screen got updated, and they fixed the issue where Gunmetal Grux's loading portrait was stretched. If you guys actually got a chance to look at that, go ahead and hit a GG down there in the chat, right? Because holy shit, that was funny. You didn't see it? That was funny as hell, bro. Yeah. My boy was squished.
Why is Grux so prone to bugs like this?
You're not wrong. Grux has had a history of issues in the lifetime. Some of the other changes real quick that they did before the new year was on Countess. They fixed an issue with her drain that was causing her passive to not work properly. So that's good. On FaZe, they fixed an issue that was causing her to pull heroes back as she recalled. Fixed an issue causing the link to go on cooldown after an ally breaks it. I actually thought that was on purpose. I didn't know that was a bug. So that's kind of cool to see. And then fix an issue allowing FaZe to pull teammates who recalled if on. Can I just say, I saw this in a match. I don't know if you guys ran into that. Like, did you guys actually, did you see that in game?
Was she pulling them all the way from the fountain down to the...
Yes, bro. Like these motherfuckers, like imagine in lane, big chilling, backing. FaZe is just staring at the carry. The carry teleported back, immediately got pulled, and they were spamming. So they bought their full item and got pulled back to tower. I was like, fuck that. No. I was like, yeah.
Big brain play. It's a big brain play.
Bro, I mean,
should have left it in.
If it were an actual strat, yeah, for sure. But even then, fuck that. That shit was broken. I was like, oh, hell no.
That's a gamer move.
Right?
Scroll.
Dude, right?
It's a phase scroll.
By the way, side note, I actually really, really like the way Gate Scroll looks now. You guys like Gate Scroll? Like with the whole beam animation bullshit and whatnot?
Yeah. Oh, the beam, yeah, that's good. I was like, we're really going to talk about the item again? Like,
no. I'm just talking about just in retrospect.
It's good, yes.
Yeah,
it was needed. It was needed. More visual animations for that kind of stuff just makes everything look more polished.
Because there's times, depending if you were on the tower and you're attacking the tower, and depending on what way you were facing, and they show up, they literally just there. You didn't know, and also next thing you know, you're being attacked. Like, wait, dude, like, how did you get back? You literally just teleported. How did you get back that quick? And it's like, oh wait, gate scroll. So animation's definitely needed.
That was Bearded's chimera version.
That is exactly what that was.
Bro, I'll be real with you. I 100% enjoyed that Ninja Diffuse show up right next to them without them realizing. That was just so satisfying. You know what I mean? Just like they don't know I'm gonna show up. Oh, bro, he's toasted. He's toasted. He's under tower. He's under tower. Then bam, show up. Now it's like, hello, look at this big ass beam of light. I'm on my way. And I'm like, So I kind of miss that, but I still want to be able to gate scroll towards wards. Am I the only one there? I feel like we should be able to.
That'd be way too strong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because you could
I don't know
literally
if
just
it would
place
be.
have your teammate
You
place
don't
the
think so?
ward.
Well, in most games that have a
super
teleport,
expensive.
you're able to. You get what I'm saying? Like you're still paying a good price to use the gate scroll. Like, but what is it? I went up against a carry. That poor guy. He bought 4 gate scrolls so he wouldn't fall behind in level. And he was like level 5, but 1,000 gold down. I was like, yo, my dude, poor guy. I was like, somebody on his team should have told him something. But it's a pretty decent investment. And in a lot of MOBAs, you're able to teleport to a ward. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, and it would be another way to get people to
place wards.
get them to place wards, make it really powerful. give them a ability to teleport to a ward. So he's like, okay, well then I better put the best ward I've ever placed in my life right behind this tier 1, so I can teleport to the spot.
Exactly.
I'm for it, honestly. If they want to, and here's the deal, right? Like, give it a shot, right? Give it a shot. If it doesn't if the community doesn't like it, if it doesn't work out, just
remove it.
Like, I mean, why not try it? You know, like, hey, give it a shot. Like, it works in some other MOBAs. Like there's so many things. I'm always that way about all this stuff. Is like, hey, give it a shot, right? And if it, a couple patches down the road, it still seems broken. And here's the thing, like something could seem broken on the first week it comes out. Then people like play for a week and they're like, oh, actually, like I was just stupid before. And now, now the community knows how to outplay it, and now it's just like doesn't work because
I will place a ward on red buff just for Russ.
Right, perfect. So, I mean, even if like they're teleporting
Prime,
to a ward,
like you just like literally pretty much just ward Prime, and you could teleport to Prime and stop the Prime fight.
Well, no, hold on. Hold on.
The enemy team could de-ward it. And then also there's going to be a beam of light that's going to that.
Yeah, I was about to say, you imagine you're doing Prime and you just see this beam of light. It's just like, hey guys, stop. We're going to fuck this guy up. Like, unless you're like, unless you're like in a 5-man comms and you just all synchronize it. Like, all right, we're gate scrolling in 3, 2, 1, go. And then 5 motherfuckers show up out of nowhere. That's a crazy different strat, right? But
Captain Planet just arrived.
No, I mean, it would be cool. It'd be a cool mechanic to have for sure. And it's worked in other MOBAs as well, and just shows that there's a chance it could work in this MOBA too. But I don't know. You give it a shot and it doesn't work, and you switch it back.
Specifically, here's what the Storm does, what they call anomalies. They call them anomalies, which for 3 months, they're like, you know what? The towers are now going to decrease your armor whenever they hit you, and that's going to stack. And then if it works out, they keep it. And if it doesn't work out, the anomaly goes away. And I think that's a really cool way of doing it. And I think Fault should do that too.
I got you. So like they're reverting and just like, we don't know what happened, guys. It was an anomaly. I like that.
They specifically call it up front. It's like, this is the new anomaly. Like this anomaly is weather. There's going to be rain and snow and all this other shit.
And if it works, then they're going to implement. It's going to be fully implemented. It's more like a test. The anomaly is just here we go. We're putting it out there. See how
that's clever.
It's like the McDonald's Szechuan sauce.
If it stayed, it was great. What?
It's like the McDonald's Szechuan sauce, dude. They tried it out and it didn't kick, so they brought it back 10 years later when it got famous again. And then it still didn't work out, so they got rid of it.
Oh, bro, I love you, Russ.
Yo, see some more experimentation like that. That would be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
for
the time
sure.
to do it. This is the time to do it. It's early access. Like, I mean, let's get it going now.
Not wrong. Now, really quick, just to kind of finish some of these changes here that they did for the new year, and I would love your inputs on these balance changes as we go through. So feel free to chime in, cut me off. On item on substitution, last fix here, they fixed an issue where subs just wasn't dealing damage if you had it combined with spell shield. So that was broken. Good thing that's fixed. Then as far as the balance goes, so on the aspects, Queen now increased spell vamp, went from 5% to 9%. I don't necessarily know why that was needed. Was it like maybe not impactful before? Because it's been 5% for a good while.
It probably just wasn't getting picked.
I mean, maybe. I don't think that 4% makes the difference for it getting picked more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because Queen has always been the stacking aspect.
9%.
that's how you do adjustments. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't want to bump it to 15% just out of the blue. Like pumping up to 9%, and if people still aren't picking it, bump it up to 12%, and then if all of a sudden people figure out, oh, holy shit, this is really good.
Okay, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I'll be real. That's something that, that's something that we don't normally see out of Strange Matters. Usually, we see them go to the point of no return. Like, yeah, let's turn this one back a little bit. You feel me? So, I mean, I'll give you that. It's nice to see a small adjustment just to see how it kind of fares out. Then we also got Rook, the resurgence portion of it. The bonus armor percentage that you get in Rook got increased to 30%. The duration that armor is there got decreased to 3 seconds. So now you get 3 times the armor, but it lasts you half as long. And then the damage threshold needed to be able to actually proc that is going to be increasing to 10% damage within 2 seconds. I'm not mad at that. That seems like a fair balance overall. Like, hey, let's give it a little bit more value, decrease the window so you could still kind of play around it. You know what I mean? Not make it too crazy, because 6 seconds in a fight is huge. Come to think of it,
I think it's an underrated jungler aspect.
Okay.
I mean, I would say they're not underrated now. Like, I mean, it was before, and now I honestly think what they're doing here is they're saying like, hey, we want to make these more impactful in games. And it just felt like before aspects weren't that impactful. Now every match I see myself going in, I'm like, okay, what is my counterpart? What is my enemy using? Because I really need to
What do I need to run?
I need to know if they're running rogue, because I don't want to be poked out of lane by the fact that this person's running rogue.
Just assume they're running rogue.
Well, I mean, hey, but then even these other items, like these other items are so powerful, like that's what they're doing.
More of a nerf though.
This,
yeah, it gets bumped up to 30%, but like the time you get it, it's only 3 seconds, and then you also have to have even more damage done to you to even get it to proc.
I don't want procking when they're only doing poke damage to me. I want it procking when I'm in the middle of a team fight getting smacked. That's what I want to
that's a good point. Like if you didn't lose at least 10%, you probably didn't need the extra armor from a hit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You want it procking in the middle of when if 3 people jump on your tank. You don't want it procking when they just got hit by 1 Gideon rock. You know,
and be mindful. It's also one of those things like, would you prefer a smaller buff for a longer period of time, or a bigger buff for a shorter period of time? And since Rook is made to be like, hey, this is the item that you want when you get heavy CC'd, this is the item that you want when you get chunked. At that point, if you're getting chunked, you want that bigger amount of armor quickly. And if you're getting chunked, probably within 3 seconds, there's a good chance you're going to stop getting chunked. They already blew their entire kit on you within 3 seconds, right?
That makes sense.
But I will say it is nice to see love being shown to green aspects in general.
Yeah.
What were you going to say,
Magus? Go ahead, Magus.
I was just going to say, like, as a jungler, when you come in for a gank early game, you know, a lot of times you'll either their jungler will be there or something like that. This helps prevent a lot of that damage, and that gank is usually over within 3 seconds. Late game, whenever you engage into a team fight, usually you're that 30% for 3 seconds is great for letting you hang in there for a little bit longer while your team catches up. I think this is just an overall buff to Rook, and I thought Rook was already pretty good, except for the instance that Russ mentioned. I tried to take it at first on support Richter, I think it was, and like everything was proccing Rook to where I didn't need it when I actually needed it. So this is even the threshold change is a buff to Rook, really.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Interesting. Now in Titan also, so the bonus health conversion got increased from 0.5% to 2%. Now correct me if I'm wrong. That's the Titan health conversion, converting a percentage of health into power. Am I right on that one? If I'm not mistaken, right, guys? So
Adaptive power, right?
adaptive power. Bro, that's kind of strong though. Like going from 0.5% to 2%, isn't that what it was originally, or wasn't it originally at 2% before they reduced it to 0.5?
I don't know what it was at when they had it originally. When they originally created it, but all I can say is that they're really trying to make these important, and you can see, I mean, that's a huge buff. That's 4 times more power.
It's massive.
That, you know, like that's a huge. That's you're usually looking at like percentage increases, not multiplication increases of like whole numbers. We're not talking about 0.5 increase. We're talking about a 4.0 increase. That's a big deal when it comes to an aspect that should be, that
for tanky people,
something that was just like, for tanky people, it just makes a big difference. I mean, that's like a considerable amount. 2% is something to think about in the middle of just throughout the game, then a 0.5 is like 0.5. It's kind of like, it's nice to have, but 2% you actually have to think about a little bit.
Yeah, it's massive. I don't know if I liked the fact that they're sticking with having a scaling damage item on what's more of a tank aspect. You know what I mean? Like, I still would prefer tank aspects to give you more value in the tank department, kind of like Rook does, or because I guess technically green isn't even considered tank anymore, right?
This is not power. This is part of the reactive rejuvenation. After taking damage from enemy hero, gain health regeneration equal to 0.5 or plus 1% of your missing health for 10 seconds. Subsequent attacks refresh the duration. So this is now it is for now that I
is it was because this is part of the Titan.
14, right? But that's still Titan. This is still part of that's Titan Effect 1 is what that is. The name of Titan Effect 2, right? So Titan Effect 1. Now reading it to what the update is now would be read as after taking damage from enemy hero, gain health regeneration equal to 2% plus 0.1% of your missing health for 10 seconds. Subsequent attacks refresh the duration.
Which this is ridiculous on Greystone in the offlane.
Okay, then I was about to say I take it back, but wow, on Greystone or Chimera, that's kind of poggers. 2% health regen scaling. That's pretty good. That's actually not that bad.
Titan's very good. It's like a must pick in the offlane, in my opinion, right now. Just because, I mean, it was before too, but now it's like a must.
Yeah, for survivability and such.
Like sustain, the sustain in that offlane role. Like if you're not running Titan, you're gonna get smashed because it's like having another T armor on top. It's basically T armor for free. And then you run T armor with that, and your sustain's just crazy.
Yeah, true. And then you combine it with the Greystone that progressively scales his regen by staying in a fight longer. Like that. Now I start to understand why people keep saying that Greystone is so busted. Maybe it's not Greystone himself. Maybe it's just all these effects stacking plus T armor and everything. You know what I mean?
Plus his new passive.
I mean, his passive definitely doesn't help for sure. Yeah,
makes him very good.
I can actually counter mages in the offlane with Greystone now. A Grim that can aim, not so much. I can still get eaten. Right? But...
And then on Beast Hunter, we have Pelt Collector, health per stack increased to 2, and then out of combat movement speed increased to 7. You still got that pulled up, Bearded, that you could read us like the entire effect? With the updated numbers,
minion and lesser monster kills permanently grants 0.15 physical power or 0.25 energy power. It's adaptive and 1.2 health. So now instead of being 1.2 health, it's and 2 health. Stacking 100 times. All right, so
extra 200 health 200,
total. 200 health. Yep. And then large and epic monsters grant 3 stacks. Reaching max stacks grants you now 7% movement speed when out of combat.
Okay, I mean, that's not bad. I mean, do you think Beast Hunter even needed that?
Movement speed, right? Because you get boots, right? That's 100% movement speed, right? So can you?
Well, no.
You get this.
It's worth mentioning. There's a distinction between percentage and flat, right? Like boots will give you 100 movement speed. Well, depending on the boots, right? Because the purple ones give you a little less with an effect, but they'll give you a specific amount of movement speed added to your base movement speed, which your base movement speed is different depending on the character you're using. You feel me?
Okay.
So what that does is after you finish the stacking, you get an extra 7% movement speed of what you currently built. Like you decided to throw a shot in there, you just got even more movement speed added. That helps with the 7%. You follow?
Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't necessarily think Beast Hunter was in a horrible spot. It was a good stacking item. You got the extra movement speed. You feel me?
I think this might be because if you look at the meta right now, this is not a tank meta at all. Like they're trying to help tanks out in a sense, because right now if you go into a match, it's 3 ADCs and 2 mages pretty much. Or a mage and a support. That's what you're getting. You know, like Murdock jungle is the main jungle, person right now. There's nobody else. There's no point of having anybody else in there. It sucks. I hate it, but I mean, that's really the meta right now. As many ADCs as you can get on the map. So I think they're trying to influence you to pick somebody else by increasing the aspects here.
Has this even affected it?
Power. I would say that it has. It definitely helps out. Like, I mean, that's why you see Greystones being used, and Greystone is going to be a tanky Greystone just jumping on an ADC. I mean, they're going to do damage, but like that's what you need. You need, or say a CC character like a Grux or a Steel getting onto a carry. It doesn't matter how much damage they can do if they get blown up before they can do the damage. But you have to have that tank allowed, the health to get to that carry. So, and to get around all the CC and whatnot. I don't know. I feel like it's moving in the right spot. If they want to make the other aspects, which they did, they made the other aspects stronger. I think these tank aspects needed to be more impactful just to keep them in line with
like relevant, so to speak.
More powerful. Yeah. If they want to have a more powerful aspect like Rogue, like I think Rogue probably needs to be brought down. But I think bringing up the other aspects more in line with the impactfulness that Rogue has currently. Right. Then that's one way to balance it, is just to bring everything up to, okay, well, they're doing more damage faster. Well, that's the thing. That was the problem with me, is that like I felt like Sevarog's been in a really bad spot because the damage scaling of the carries and the mages are going up so fast compared to, I mean, Sev's the stacking hero and he can't stack his tank faster than their damage. It's like they're going up like this and he's just slowly going up, and
yep.
He'll get there at a time, but it's like he's just too slow, unfortunately, compared to how powerful the scaling of these other units are. It's not that Sev's in a bad spot himself. It's just they're in such a good spot. Is where I would kind of put the description of it, in my opinion. But
I mean, you're not wrong. We brought it up when we did the tier list. We mentioned that, like, it's not that Sev is in a horrible spot. It's just Sev is a hero designed for late game, where it looks like the rest of the game is kind of optimized for that 20 to 30 minute window, where it almost feels like Sev just is out of place. Like he doesn't belong because the current meta is so quick to scale. So
yeah, well, and you also just brought in FaZe, who's the counter to Sevarog, right? Because Sevarog just wants to get onto the carry. Well, if Sevarog's getting blinded, how is he supposed to siphon the carry? How is he, if he dashes to the carry and he uses his knock, his ultimate to swing the carry away? Well, the FaZe can probably still pull him back if she's within range. So it's just kind of his whole kit gets messed up by FaZe, and with FaZe being picked so often. I think in a match without a FaZe, I think Sevarog can still, work. But yeah, I think you're right. Like it's just.
So considering how rampant Rogue is, right? And Rogue definitely doesn't help against a character like Sev or all the other tanks, because the problem is tanks aren't really worth much right now. And Rogue might be a direct cause. How would you guys feel if they just 86th Rogue for the time being? Just take Rogue out of the game for like a week or two. See how things are without Rogue and see if Rogue really was as impactful or if there's a problem elsewhere. Because I feel like, and the reason why I asked that to kind of give context is because I feel like a lot of their changes are like, well, let's tweak this and see if that does it. No, that didn't do it. Let's tweak that and see if that does it. You feel me? Why not just isolate something and be like, was that it? No? Okay, let's put it back.
I mean, in my line of work, that's one of the best ways to troubleshoot. You know, you can either, half split it, like, okay, let's cut half of it off and see if that half still works. Okay, well, that means this wasn't the problem, or that was the issue, either way. But so, yeah, like you taking it out and seeing where the game lies as is without Rogue there would definitely let you know how much of an impact Rogue is giving you. But I mean, isn't there also data points that would help you see how that's
should
happening?
Be
the pick rate, right? Should be some sort of back end statistic. But I think Russ kind of alluded to this earlier too. You also kind of got to give players like at least 2 or 3 weeks with a change like that to truly figure out what's going on. Because like Aurora is a good example in Paragon. She was fucking insane, over the top, kicking everybody's ass. And then supports figured out that Purity Sensor can completely cancel out her ult. And Aurora kind of just was a thing of the past. You got to give players the chance to learn how to play around stuff.
No, for sure.
Yeah, you got to let the data kind of collect a little bit before you make a big like knee jerk. Like there's going to be a knee jerk reaction to the change, but then there's going to be the knee jerk reaction to automatically pull back because people are like, whoa. But I mean, I think you're going to have that when you're making larger changes. And that's just kind of part of the developing process, I think. I mean, got to be willing to try something and have people, have the reaction and then just look at the data. You have to be data driven when it comes to that stuff, in my opinion. But,
right.
Yeah, and Armadillo just mentioned this in the chat. Shout out to Armadillo. I've actually seen carries start picking T-Armor as a starter item just to combat Rogue. Not horrible, right? But is that like an okay, like a cop-out? Be like, oh, just run this item. And you cancel Rogue, but now you're kind of behind as a carry.
I've just always thought that the carry phobia for armor is bullshit. If you're getting your teeth kicked in by a Countess, get some fucking energy armor. Like, you don't do damage when you're dead. Get some armor. People just, as soon as you take armor on a carry, they'll flip out, or carries just absolutely will not.
Yeah, they
in circumstances take armor at all. Sometimes you got to fucking take armor. Like if T armor is counting the rogue meta, then take T armor. Who cares?
Right. And then there's always that me and Windu like to do, depending, in certain cases, you have that 950 blighted chest plate you can get.
Yeah, that acidic iron is too strong, bro. If you're trying to counter somebody with physical physical armor.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Blighted is the full item. But yeah, 950 for that little one. That's nice. I
mean, Fate's Gunblade, the new energy bubble for carries, is kind of a cracked item. I love putting that on my Grim. Because then you get that extra bubble. And
the double bubble.
If someone tries the double bubble, dude. Double bubble.
Has somebody tried on a Grim, Fate's Gunblade, and Warriors? Triple bubble? Has somebody tried that?
I have not.
Since he can benefit from energy and physical, right?
I think that would be a bit of an int, but
hey man, he's a hybrid. You feel me? He's a hybrid. He would actually benefit from the extra energy armor. I mean, from the extra energy damage.
Hybrid.
Hey man, we do not assume.
Not the same passive, so you wouldn't be able to benefit from the.
Is it identical unique? Because if it is, then it cancels out. I haven't actually looked at the identical naming of it. But yeah, so
cancel themselves out.
Yeah, maybe. So they did make a change on.
Pull up the items, so I don't know.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I really miss the website being updated with the items. Like, I didn't realize how much I relied on looking on the website for all that information until it was missing, and for pictures and shit for videos. But on Phase, they did change that her ultimate, her R, the Psychic Overload, no longer deals damage to linked enemies. So that was a very big nerf as far as damage for her, but it still does apply the debuff effects, worth mentioning. The item Mana Focus.
Sorry, I want to stop you there. So what you're saying is that it does do the damage, but when using her ultimate linked to her ADC, it's giving them a speed boost and attack speed, right?
Yeah. And when linked to an enemy, it lowers their attack speed and it lowers their movement speed.
Lowers the movement speed. Okay.
Yeah, like that's still there. It just doesn't do the damage portion, preventing her from being hardcore damage. Is it more beneficial to be linked to your carry and giving them the ultimate, or is it more beneficial to be linked to the enemy and doing that to the enemy? I mean, I would say let's pick and choose, because you got to be mindful. If you link to the enemy and ulted, you're not only slowing them, you're not only reducing their movement speed, but you're linked. They're about to get stunned. So it just really depends. Would you rather rely on your pull, or would you rather rely on the stun? Because once you stun the enemy with your link, you're not going to be able to pull your carry, right? So it's like just like a choice, offense, defense. Both would be valid. It just depends on whether your carry needs help catching the person, really, But on top of that, so this is the patch that we actually saw Mana Focus and Sword of Souls get adjusted. They got a slight rework. Basically, to sum these up, they lowered the amount of damage that you got, the amount of damage and mana that you got per stack, but they increased the number of stacks, and we'll go into those specifically. On mana, almost for Sword of Souls. The stacks themselves. Yeah, the stacks themselves, but Sword of Souls did get a slight damage nerf because they nerfed the total percentage. We'll go into it.
No, penetration's the only thing that got nerfed in it. Other than that, it's the exact same thing.
All right, we'll go into it. I got you. So on Mana Shard first, the maximum stacks got increased from 100 to 150. And then the amount of mana you get per stack got reduced from 7.5 to flat 5. And that transfers over to Mana Focus because they essentially are the same item being built up. On Sword of Souls, the physical pen got reduced from 15 to 10. Slight reduction there. The gold cost got increased by 200 gold. So that's double the nerf so far. The maximum stacks got increased to 100. And the physical power per stack got decreased to from 0.6 to 0.45. Essentially, that converts out to about the same power, but it just takes you longer to get. And then the physical power percentage bonus that applies to all the damage that you're building, that got reduced from 10 to 6. And that is the biggest nerf that they got, Sword of Souls got.
I still call bullshit. I mean, yeah, you're right. And then said those. If you want to talk about how much gold it costs, yes, that's a nerf. If you want to talk about the physical pen, that's a nerf. I'm not saying it's not nerfed. I'm saying that the stacks itself is the exact same. Literally the exact same. Do the math. It comes out to be in the exact.
Yeah, it just takes you longer to come online, which is still a nerf.
Which means but it's not. It's like the amount of time is not that much more. Like, it does not take me much more to go from 75 to 100 as an ADC. Like, I'll get that 100, no problem. It's not a bad deal. Like, you're literally getting that still 100, and like I said, I think it's 110 pen or physical power on that item once it's finally built.
So 106, because like I was saying, the last portion.
Numbers on my ass.
No, you're good. I'm just saying the last portion, because I think one of the parts that also made that item too strong before was the fact that you would get 10% extra damage on your entire build. And that started kind of getting cracked the more you build. Lowering that to 6 isn't bad. I really think that should just be removed. The extra percentage.
I'm okay with that too.
That might make it more balanced.
Out of every item you have right now, what is the highest amount, the highest item that gives you physical power?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a throw not to have it.
Straight stat damage, like literally just a straight stat. Physical power. What item in the game has the highest physical power stat, just straight stat. You build it, that's where it is. Is that what 75? I think is an item, or is there one that's higher than that? I can't
No, it's definitely the highest, but I think
it is.
I think they should compare this item to Arcane Amplifier, right? Like Arcane Amplifier gives you a good amount of damage, but it also costs a good fucking penny. Like you get a big power spike when it comes online, but correct me if I'm wrong, that's like 3,600, I think.
But it's also the only stat you get off of Arcane Amp. Like you're not getting multiple stats. You're literally only getting that energy power. You're not getting energy power plus energy pen plus, you're not getting a bunch.
Arcane would be correct.
Getting that one. That's my point.
Yeah, when you put it that way, imagine if Arcane were cheaper, gave you pen on top of it, and then on top gave you the flat power with a percentage boost on top of it. It is kind of a cracked item. I respectfully disagree with anybody that says that Sword of Souls is in a good spot right now. Hashtag you know who you are. You know exactly who I'm talking to. You know who you are. But yeah, like as far as I don't know, man, like that overall patch, I don't think that patch was too it was good changes, but I don't think they made that much of a difference. I still see the same meta going on. You feel me? People picking Rogue and Sword of Souls if you're a physical damage character. It's almost like if you're physical damage and you don't run those two, you're kind of just setting yourself behind, even after those changes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I still
I agree.
My idea for Sword of Souls, and I think that my idea, I'm gonna be all sorts of cocky now. I think that should be applied to all purple items, because like the way it was in Paragon with like the black items or whatever, the black aspect, it was like kind of a risk reward. Like you would have this card and it would be super powerful, but if you died, you lost the card or whatever. I think that would be cool with the Sword of Souls. Like you get the max stacks, but if you die, you lose 25 stacks and you have to restack it. Do that with like a whole bunch of different items. Like
how would you feel?
Powerful, but if you die, the power decreases.
How would you feel that exact same method, but if you already got to max stacks, you can't lose stacks. That's your reward by actually reaching max stacks. But on your way there, you can get set back.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be painting a huge target on yourself until you got that shit stacked. But
well, that's the point.
Yeah,
like it's like
a way to see I mean, obviously with Severog with his stacks, you can just look at his shoulders, right? His little shoulder pads he's got going on. You can see where he have an idea where he's at. And if you play him enough, you'll know where he's at by seeing what he's got, right? But is there a way in the game to, if somebody does have Sword of Souls, to see where they're at with their stacks and how they are, or in any other of these stacking items that we have? Is there a way to kind of see where they're at? And you can't like pull up the like on the scoreboard right now. Scoreboard. You can't pull the scoreboard and like kind of like. I think that'd be something. Is that not needed? Is that something that would be worthwhile to have on a scoreboard to be able to hover over that item? And all right, they're at 80 stacks right now on this. So I understand how much power output they're putting out right now. Is that something that would be worth it in the game or no?
That'd be cool. I wouldn't be against it. Like just have the actual counter be public.
Especially when you start transitioning into this game being a little more sustainable with a lot more people playing, and you actually have like ranked play, like higher ranks, that would be invaluable to have. Lower ranks probably still wouldn't matter, but yeah, being able to see where somebody is on their quest, as it were, would be nice.
And then and then if you really tie that into Mangoose's idea, if it starts to run that way, then you could really see like, okay, guys, we literally have to focus the carry right now because he's almost at full stacks. We don't want them to get in full stacks. We got to bring them down, and that would be something that you could kind of do with that. I think that would work out in that regard.
Russ looks like he's about to blow up. What do you want to say, bro? You're too nice. Interrupt.
I would double down. I would double down on that. No worries, man. I think you could basically do the same thing that we have with Mana Lens currently. How Mana Lens is its own item until it completely evolves into mana lens. It'll switch into a different form of the item. You just do the same exact thing. Sword of Souls can be the final item of the upgrade list, just like how mana lens is. And I think it should work that way, in my opinion. Is that there should be some kind of visual showcase showing to me that, like, okay, this guy's like, I have no idea if the guy just bought Sword of Souls. Obviously, I know he's been holding on to it for a while. Like, I saw him get it, so I know that he built the base items, he built into it, and now he's had it for like 10 minutes. So there's a good chance he probably has 100 stacks, but I don't know for sure if he's hit that max. I think it would be nice to have like a transformation, and then I think in combination with Mangoose, I think it would be cool to see some kind of shutdown mechanics as it is being a purple item. I think it could come with some downsides if it is going to be as impactful as it is currently. I think you could say like, oh, I mean, let's do some kind of outplay situation where you can bring those stacks down, similar to how the bear works. I've always thought that the bear should not respawn with full canisters if he dies. If he dies, the bear should lose.
It should lose everything he collected.
I've always thought, I've been a firm believer that like he should just lose it all. Like he has to restack. That's a problem. That's a risk reward thing with bear. And I hope that they decide to make a change like that at some point, in my opinion. And just make him a very high risk, high reward character, because it just seems to me that like he could just come back at any moment with ability. Maybe that would be too powerful. Maybe he just loses some. But I think you could do the same thing, like Mangus is talking about. I think that would be a cool mechanic to have to shut somebody down in that way, and then you have to have the visual. Like Bearded was saying, you have to have that visual to know when that's occurring, so you can say, like, hey, let's group up as a team. So I would completely agree with you guys on that. Like, I think that would be a really cool thing to at least try. You know, why not?
I mean, the mechanic you brought up with the mana lens kind of variant, how it's like, hey, if you fully build it, it's an okay item. If you finish the stacks, now it's a dope item, like hella valuable, as opposed to
boost when it hits that point. Like it's like, okay, well it's he's doing all right, but now we know, like, okay, boom, this guy's a problem. And that's how it feels with Mana Lens, honestly, right now. I think Mana Lens is in a really good spot. Like when I am playing Gideon on mid and I see somebody hit that Mana Lens final card, or if I hit that final card, I'm like, oh, I'm hitting some boys now. Like I'm smacking. I'll 3-shot half your team. Come check me out. I'll come see if I miss. To my lane. That's how I feel when I get Mana Lens online. And I hope that that'd be the same way with Sword of Souls and continue to be that way. But at the same time, I don't know. It's hard to balance it. I get that as well.
It'd be easy. Like Dagger of Souls goes into Sword of Souls. That'd be so easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That really would be such an easy transition, bro. And I will say this. It's a very dangerous thing to imply, or for if they wanted to change purple towards like a risk reward scenario, because they've already basically tied all of their physical pen into purple, right? Where as opposed to like a mage, for example, mage has their ability and their pen items all in blue. A physical damage character has to build a purple item if they want to build into some of those pen items. We got some pen in red, but just slightly. You feel me? Like the majority of pen, like almost all purple items are pen. Almost. So it really is one of those things that I'd be okay, or hell, just add another fucking random color. Like what's a color they haven't used? Yellow, right? Some random shit. And make it like the risk reward category. Make it like negative colors. I don't know, sepia, whatever the fuck. But make it like they could easily just add a couple extra items in there.
Sepia. What?
That's like the old school pictures, like, you feel me? Like the copper looking ones. My bad. But yeah, I was just mainly wanting to highlight that I didn't necessarily see too much of a change. I thought these were all good balance changes overall, but I don't think that it necessarily affected too much about how the game is played, what people are running, etc.
I don't think it was either, but I believe going with what we've been saying earlier, like we need time to play this patch. So we don't want anything too crazy of these changes, to really affect that, because we need to get those data points of what 14 actually is before we make any of those drastic changes.
Yeah. So let's piggyback on that, because we brought this up a couple times. How much time is enough time? Because, like, for example, like tomorrow it'll be 3 weeks since that patch came out. So how much time is enough time to be able to actually sit here and say, hey, okay, this ain't working, let's try something else?
I think it depends. It literally is a depending situation. Like, if you have an active, like, Strazy, like when this game first came out, like early access, the amount of players that were playing it and the amount of time they were putting in, that time frame that you're talking about would have been less time. But now there's not that many people playing, and we're not being that active with it. So you would need more time to be able to get used to the said meta, to understand it, to be able to be like, okay, this is how we go against it. If you don't play that time, you don't understand it. Like for example, going against the Kalari and understanding how to combat against the Kalari. If you just don't play against her enough, you're instantly just going to think she's a straight OP and she needs to be nerfed. So you need that time frame to do that. So it really, I think that's that's something that's got to be
like player base as a variable.
To see, yeah, that they're able to see that the data points from what they're getting to be able to to see if she's actually truly OP or what. But it's a tough one.
Goose, Russ, do you guys have any ideas on that one? Any input?
I offered all I had.
I can't. He's like, I'm out. That's it.
He spent.
You need 50 more cents. Put it through the slot. Nay. Chill. Yeah, I don't know, because that's a doozy. And considering that at one point they got the community used to, balance updates every 2 weeks, and those are going pretty consistent. There were constant changes for like 99% of those weeks, right? And tweaks in here and there. But now that most of that tweaking has been done, I probably wouldn't be mad if they came out with like a monthly balance patch, but just kind of like have it established. You know what I mean? So people aren't just sitting there wondering for a month, like, no balance? Hello?
Well, I also think that we don't want that either, because then we're going to get spoiled, and we're going to think that every month we're going to get this balance patch, and then for whatever reason, if something happens, we're not getting a balance patch because then maybe 15 is coming out in 2 weeks more. Why would we put a balance patch out when we're just going to drop 15 in 2 weeks? So then they kind of like focus on 15. Now, again, you would just have them announce, hey, we're going to not do this balance patch, but then you still get your people will have an uproar because they don't have their balance patch that they're used to getting. So,
and I just don't think that they should ever lock themselves into any sort of time frame like that. Hashtag every 3 weeks. We see it. We saw what happens whenever you promise the community certain changes at a certain amount of time. Some of those changes are going to be rushed, and they're not going to be beneficial to the game. Like if a month goes by and they don't see any reason, or they don't have things ready, then they should have the autonomy to hold back and not give us those changes. Will we bitch about it? Of course we will. We're like, oh, every month but still, as long as they don't ever promise that every month they're going to give us something, then I think it should be fine. I don't want to force them into doing something they don't need to be doing.
Yeah, my thoughts on this. I think it's going to be we're coming up to the third week since a major update. I think they bring something next week, just as like even just a small thing, just to like
let's just throw something in there.
Yeah. It's just like, and I think as their team continues to grow, and they have multiple avenues to like release new things, right? It doesn't need to be a balance patch every time. It could just be like, hey, there's some hype thing that we're drumming up, that it doesn't need to be like an update, but even if there's just like a connection to the community, a touch point, I think that's really what people want. And sure, a balance fix, like if there's like something that's completely broken, and they feel that they've got enough data on said thing and they want to like drop that update, then hey, that's cool. But like, even if it's just like, hey, like we're introducing a new skin this week, like cool. Like doesn't do anything gameplay related. There's no bug that's going to occur unless it's Box Grux. I mean, but hey, I
can't with you, bro.
Had to have Box Grux back in the or Steel's shoulder this week. Anybody seen Steel's shoulder?
No.
It's bouncing off his, it's such a funny bug. I love it. His shoulder's like bouncing. If you guys have a chance to play the game, try at least just go into a PvE match and play Steel right now. I don't know if it's specific to a skin. I don't think it is, but I know that the blue Steel skin, I was streaming yesterday and my shoulder was like bumping. Like, I don't know, man. It looked like he was getting yoked. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, that's funny.
It doesn't like affect the game. It's just hilarious to see.
Right.
I mean, like, I don't know, like leave it in for a couple days, leave it in for a week. Cause it's just fun. Like I want people to have, I know it's a game.
Yeah. There's good meme moments for sure.
Right. It's just something fun to see. Like, I don't know. It's like not game breaking. It's just kind of funny. Like, I don't know, like don't leave it in forever, but like, I mean,
no, yeah.
Like
I would be happy. I mean, like if they added something for balancing, whatever reason, whatever that may be, I'm cool. Right. But I mean, I would be, even if let's say there was no balance, the next patch, there's no balance at all. But it's just like, hey, here's a list of bugs that were fixed, like map position bugs, like stuff like that. Cause just keep on going with the optimization, and smoothing out what we got going on. That would be perfect for me. I would be happy with just getting that patch. Like, okay, this is stuff we were in the game that was bugged. We fixed it. It's no longer doing this. That I would be all about that.
Yeah, I think this just comes down to the communication that we're mentioning, right? Because like Russ brought up a great point. Like, you guys remember when it was Decker Grimm? They teased even just a snapshot of the portal that they were going to come through. And that was it that week. And everybody was like, what the fuck is that? Who does that even, like, who could that even be? And then the next week they tease something different. Like, they could easily just like an upside down twisted gadget elbow arm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it could be something totally random, but like if there's a new skin that they want to drop, like let's say next month, start throwing hints like 1 week here, one hint the next week, leading up to it.
They asked, like, what do you think about this? And it was that Vacation Severog or the
Tough Richter, bro. What?
Richter, or the Panda Boris. All those different skins they kept on teasing on. Like, I wish they kind of bring that back. It doesn't have to be weekly. But maybe, once a month they drop like, hey, what do you think about this? Kind of like, hey, look at this skin we got. Even if it's just a concept, it doesn't have to, that doesn't mean it's coming into the game, but it's just to generate hype and people and get people talking. And then you have the, another thing I missed is like you were saying, like, we know there's other heroes coming, right? And we recently had, and I say recently, but it was actually, it feels like it was actually a while ago. We had that Fang Mao tease. And then nothing else. Like, come on, give it. Like, I loved that Decker Grimm, that continuous, like, what is this?
Leading up to something, yeah.
It was a video, and then it was a picture, and then it was another video. That leading up to them coming out was great. And I would love to have, even though like we all pretty much know it's Fang Mao from that last little.
Hey man, you never know. You never know. But if I get a little, if I get a picture of the end of a pipe, I know. That's all I'm saying. I want that.
Right. So there's never, like, you don't know, but like we're just pretty much to that point. We think it's that, give us something else, like just kind of keep us, like, give us something more. Like, that's just a little bit more. I'm not asking for, I don't want a hero tomorrow. I mean, well, if you give me here tomorrow, that's great. Thank you. But I mean, like,
hey, shut up.
I'm asking for, I just, like, give us something more. Like, just keep teasing us, you know? Like, literally, you guys have so much in your back pocket. And those little teases are just going to generate hype. They're not going to hinder in any way, in my opinion.
Now, you know what I'm curious about, since we're kind of in the subject. So those little teases and stuff like that, they did a bit back then. And then they kind of switched gears and they started communicating with us as a community, right? And they're like, hey, we're trying to get to patch 14. Once patch 14 is good, that's when we're going to start marketing. That's when we're going to start making moves, events, dev streams, all that stuff that they mentioned, Twitch drops, etc. So I'm curious, do you guys think that that's either something that's probably already on the way, or that that's something that they'll even consider doing? Like start doing like some of those old tactics again? Or do you think they're going to just stick to new tactics?
I hope they go back to those old tactics, you know, but like what they, I'm not saying that those old tactics weren't good, right? Like, or the videos that were put together, I'm not saying those weren't good, but they've now had more time, more practice. So they're going to be even better. You know what I'm saying? So I hope they do that old stuff, you know, with the practice they've had and make them even better, you know, or Prime or over Prime. Over Prime just came out with that cinematic trailer, you know, and I'm like, wait, what did I say? Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Their cinematic trailer. That cinematic trailer was pretty freaking sweet.
It's nice to see stuff like that.
Cinematic trailer. But I mean, like the gadget trailer that we had for here, that was cinematic and then it turned into gameplay. And that was actually a pretty smooth transition, you know? But like, so we're doing them as well. But like, I hope we go back into it. Like, that'd be great.
We'll see if they hired that marketing manager that they were trying to hire. We'll see what happens.
True.
Yeah, that's one thing I was gonna bring up, is that they're currently looking to double down on that team and add that marketing manager. And you know, as their team continues to grow, it'll just give them, like, I think right now they're just they're limited on amount of time. Like, they have so many people working on similar things that you get these people.
Yeah, like all hands on deck sort of vibe.
All hands on deck. And if like they're all working on a patch, then, you know, they're all honed in on that, then it's hard to bring out this marketing material when the marketing team is also helping with trying to make sure that everything is going smoothly with the launch. And then, like, how do you market something that's not quite ready yet? You don't market it because you don't want to market it too early. And then, like, everybody's like, where's this stuff that they showed me, you know? So I see why they would want to wait, is because you want to wait until it's like actually ready to go on a marketing side of things. And when your marketing team is so small, you can't have the, you know, when your team itself is so small, you can't have, you know, people not wasting time, but like in terms of the things that are like forefront need to happen, like gameplay breaking bugs and things like that, people need to be focused on that when they have the time to do it. And so I think that as the team continues to grow, they're adding 3 new people and they're hiring right now. There's 3 or 4 roles.
3 new roles,
that they're trying to hire for. That's not small like that. You know, if these people are coming,
that's a good amount of staff.
That's a lot of extra. Yeah. That's a lot of extra hands to 6 hands. I mean, we're talking.
That's a lot of extra dough, bro.
We're talking
realistically
phalanges that are going to be.
I hate them, bro.
At least 3 keyboards, and so we're going to have at least 3 keyboards worth of more work getting done. I mean, come on. I mean, geez, 3 more Ethernet cables. Come on.
Yeah. I can't with them, bro. I love them. Russ for marketing manager, confirmed.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Never know.
Espada was the guy that was doing the videos back in the day before he fully came on as a dev, right? And then now here he is, he's the map guy. So is that why we're not getting as many of the videos that we used to get, because he's full-blown map guy?
No, I was about to say, if I'm not mistaken, Balix is the new video content guy. That's why they did like that little AI introduction with like the Balix voice overview instead of Sylphin. right? So they do have somebody. I guess it would just be more of a when matter, you know? Because at the end of the day, they got people for different roles. And as we just mentioned, they're expanding, right? They got people for different roles, but when are they actually allowed to post the stuff they're working on? Because who knows, like people might have been working for the last 6 months on something like the art department, those skins that they teased a while ago, right? Like those skins didn't just disappear. You get what I'm saying? Like their art department must be cranking stuff up. Like I doubt Gideon was the only one, because the Gideon skin, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the skin that we got teased almost a year ago. It was in pieces, right? Like we saw like a chest piece and then like a shoulder or whatever the hell it was, right?
Those one of those things they would slowly, every like, oh, here's a patch. All right, patch notes. We know we're getting a teaser. It was one of those things.
There was quite a bit of stuff around the same time.
Sorry, I believe that was also the when we got that teaser of Gadget working on that character, that person sitting down in the chair. I believe that was also a tease, which I don't know how long ago that was of the Gideon. Right, I'm gonna imagine that was the Gideon skin.
I think that was just an AI tease, to be honest. I mean, it could have been a Gideon skin, because
I thought it was the
Gideon's chest is a circle. The person laying down is a diamond.
Maybe another Gideon skin coming.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I just know Gideon skin is pretty much Iron Man. You have an Iron Man like chest plate, right? And the guy laying down that Gadget's working on has that diamond. Sorry, has a triangle on their chest.
Yeah, so
we have
Iron Man 1, Iron Man 3.
It's already been teased that we still don't have. I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, it's just all about when they release stuff. I'm sure there's stuff that they have that's ready to go.
Just in the piggy bank.
It's just that they're ready to. It's just you got to have it all at the right time, right? And that's how any kind of game would release, right? Like, I mean, the game's still, you got to give people something to grind for. We got waited for the mastery skins. We got a lot of, like, the art team, I'm sure, was cranking away at the mastery skins for quite some time, because they were all like, custom built skins. Obviously they were like just kind of like recolors in a way, but at the same time, it's still a good work in the QA process that comes along with each skin and everything. Right. Obviously, you saw like it's different enough that it messed up the Countess face in the loading screen. Well, they fixed that, but like at the same time, it was like it wasn't just like copy pasta. It was it was a decent amount of work that they have to go through and make sure is completed correctly. So,
is the Gadget face fixed in the emotes when you do the emotes? Like her face just kind of drops. Is that still there or no?
I haven't checked on that in a while.
Yeah, the emote where she drops on her arm and she like kind of reclines back. When she does that, like a part of her like face, like she literally just had the stroke.
It fell off.
And it just drops to the ground.
That's how it was.
Oh, is that like the eyeshadow on Twin Blast and that?
Just like that.
I did.
Yep. Just like that. Just as creepy too. Right. Just as creepy.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy. Pretty creepy.
So I
remember we saw that when we did the partner showcase. We were able to go in and mess around with her and what is she doing? I was like, oh, look at her face. So I want to talk about a little
interesting subject here with you guys. Now on patch 0.14.3, that was the optimization patch, right?
Yes.
And we'll get into the optimization in itself, right? But they specifically say on here, we performed a large optimization overhaul on the map to help correct FPS issues. We'll continue to monitor this issue on all ranges of player PCs and push fixes as needed. That's cool, right? They're prioritizing the optimization, which I think really was needed.
Russ, when 14 first dropped, before 14.3, were you having any issues? Were you getting any of these issues or no?
As terms of optimization, I was not personally receiving much of an optimization issue. I know that others had been, and I had heard that from my community, but I personally wasn't running into too many issues. I had a friend that did incur some like specific matches. And I also noticed that some matches specifically, like maybe it was just like the server itself was having more issues than others.
Okay.
But
Possible.
for my PC, I know it was very specific from my understanding of the optimization issues. It was very specific to different hardware. And I know that can be true for, any kind of issue.
Sure.
Can be like someone's specific hardware could be causing issues with, something.
Yeah, like the specific hard drive they have or whatever. It could vary.
Right. And it could be all the combination of even the software that's connected with the hardware could be an issue too, but yeah. I didn't before, and I'm having even less, and I'm hearing not too much about it now from other people. I'm hearing that some people are still having issues. I've had some like kind of like hitchy moments myself in a match where like all of a sudden it kind of feels like everything's bogging down for a moment, but it usually comes back and just
recently
smooth after that. But it does have issues. It's not. Yeah. I mean, there is some issues that have occurred. But
so with 14, I know Goose and we were having issues. Like we even dropped it down to like we were like running everything on low. We brought our like 3D down, pretty low. Like we had to do a lot just to even try to enjoy the game, and we were still having issues even at that state. So we're in a lot better place now with 14.3. I have heard of somebody actually they didn't have issues before 14.3.
And now they do.
Sorry, headphones shut off. They
have
issues before 14.3, and then after 14.3, now they're having the issues that we were talking about.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I'm like, man, that's weird. Like and so far they're the only one that I know that has had this issue.
It's so difficult when it's like one person like that, because it could be very local to them. Like maybe they just need to re-verify their Steam files. So that maybe there's something went wrong with the update or something like that.
Something, yeah. But I did have one. I thought it was a perfect optimization update, and then I did have a couple games where I did drop down to 2 FPS there for a second. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, okay, it's not 100% fixed, but it's tons better than what it was.
Yeah.
I can at least play it on a beautiful looking game. Like dropping all that stuff to low, because before 14 on 13. I was running everything on Epic, and I mean, I wasn't getting 120 frames per second, but I was still enjoying the game, and it was beautiful, And then it's like, okay, and then have to go into 14, like, okay, well now I got to drop to low. I'm like, ooh, this doesn't look as good. I'm like, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I will say that in the current patch with these optimization changes, I still I do get better frames when I'm not streaming. So it does use a lot more when I'm running on Epic. It used to be that I didn't really run into a difference when I was not streaming and when I was streaming. And now it's kind of teetering right on the edge of using almost all of my GPU now. Whereas even on all Epic settings before it wasn't. Now I have to kind of like mess with the post-processing a little bit, and a little bit of the foliage is how I've been kind of adjusting my game to make up for that. I can run everything on Epic when I'm not streaming, but just because post-processing specifically, as well as the foliage being so demanding, when I'm streaming, it'll kind of have issues. So if anybody, and then obviously the verifying of files, if you're having issues with the game, if you're watching this and you haven't verified your files, there's a good chance the verifying your files will help. It won't hurt. So just give it a shot if you haven't. And hopefully that'll.
With any of your games that you're having issues with, if you're a game on Steam that you're having any issues with any game, verify the files first. It's almost like the first step of troubleshooting. What now? I'm not a computer guy at all. I mean, I have a computer, but I don't know much about it. So would you guys say that Fault is more of a GPU game or more of a CPU game? Like there's more wear and tear on the GPU or more wear and tear on the CPU?
I haven't noticed a lean.
It's more GPU.
Yeah,
it's more heavy on the GPU currently.
Okay.
Gotcha. I was about to say I haven't necessarily noticed like a hardcore lean to where it's like, yo, need a better graphics card, bro. Like chill. So, I mean, I guess it is worth mentioning too that most early access games are usually not the best optimized. I always use Hunt Showdown as the example, right? But do you guys think that they should prioritize optimization over content until full release? Like, to be able to get everybody to play as smooth as possible, do you think that should be the priority right now?
Not anymore, because I think they fixed a vast majority of people's issues with this optimization patch. Most of the people that I was talking to that said they had problems before are no longer having those problems. There's actually zero outliers for me. Everybody that I know of that was having problems before are no longer having those problems. So I think now they're in a position where they can start doing content again.
Okay, so that, like, a majority thing, like, I don't know, like if 99% of people are chilling, like, hey, still work on the 1%, but you don't necessarily have to like dead on focus on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect to fucking play Fault at epic settings on a laptop, you know what I mean? On like that you got from school or some shit. Like, not everybody's gonna be able to play the game on epic settings. You got to have a bit of an understanding there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Paragon was really able to run a crazy amount of FPS, you know, even with as beautiful as it looked. I know, I mean, it still had, you know, its issues, but I only played on PlayStation, so I don't know what I really was looking for.
The majority of the fan base was stuck at 60.
So, yeah, so like you were maxed at 60, if anything, if you were getting that, you know, but I still don't know even if you were getting that 60, you know, on that situation. But yeah, no, you're right. You can't like expect that, but I still think that them working on optimization will allow them to, when they do go full release, will allow them to expand their player base, because there are people out there who can't afford to upgrade their PC, especially with the way these GPU prices are right now. Like, you can't like, okay, yeah, I got a PC, but I'm looking at your specs, I can't play, you know, not with what I got. So if they work on their optimization to where those, you know, a wider variety of specs can play it, I think that'll be beneficial too. But I don't think it's like something that they need to like focus on. It could be something that they work on as they go.
I mean, there's only so much you can do with optimization though, right? Like, before the game starts looking like shit. I think they would lose more players by having the game look like shit on a high-end computer than they would gain by having it look half decent on a very low-end computer. People want the money they invested into their PC to pay off with a beautiful game. True. I think if you lower the fidelity of the overall game to the point where everybody can play it on whatever fucking computer, then you're going to lose people because it's just not going to look as pretty.
True. Now, on the same subject of optimization, so they also mention on here specifically that they're upgrading to Unreal Engine 4.27. So for those of you that don't know, that's currently the latest version of Unreal Engine that's out officially. We all know Unreal Engine 5 is on the horizon. Now, if you go on Epic's page, they mention specifically that Unreal Engine 4.27 is compatible with Unreal Engine 5 that's coming out in 2022. So, and I'm pretty sure if not all, have seen some of those trailers out there throughout the interweb of Unreal Engine 5 and how good it looks and great for performance and everything. You know, squeezing the lemon type of performance sort of vibes. So, do you guys think it would be worthwhile to shift over to Unreal Engine 5, have all those benefits, but at the same time take whatever hurdles may come in the transition process?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think you should. There's really, I mean, if depending on what the downsides are, I don't really know. Like, it seems like going from 4.7, that's what we're at now.
4.27. And worth mentioning, my dev buddies have told me that it's literally as easy as, hey, I'm opening my project file in Unreal Engine 5 some of the stuff might not transfer 100%, so you kind of might want to go in there and just make sure everything's set. But on a smaller file game, not that much has to be changed. On a bigger file game, like a full-on massive project, more things might get changed, and it's one of those things that they either have to go through and sift through it and just go line by line, making sure everything's good, or be like, oh, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Time to go back in there and change that sort of vibe.
So if Kalari just comes up and she's no longer in the game when we go to round to 5, that'd be fine.
No, that was just me. I got you.
Remember 4 years ago when we were excited for 427 because that was supposed to be Meta Buff's alpha date?
Was that the date? Don't you tell me that was the date, man, Goose.
It was.
Oh my God.
I don't know why. I saw the 427. I was like, that reminds me of something.
Well, that was because 426 was Paragon's last day.
Right, yeah.
So 427 was supposed to be like that, like the next day.
Yeah.
Continue, yeah.
Oh, snap. Is that why Epic stayed at 427? They're like, let's just skip the 5. That number hurts.
No, that's why Strange Matter is going to 427 just as an in your face to meta buff. That's my tinfoil hat theory.
That's my tinfoil hat.
They upgraded out of
Shout out to you, Jelly.
Now they do mention in there, before I let us continue, I'm sorry. They do mention in there, this change comes with many benefits to the development and is another step towards improving the overall feel of our game. Updating to 4.27 was needed for some future large-scale plans that we hope to share with you soon. What do you think about that, Russ? You can continue what you were saying earlier.
It sounds like they are just prepping for their plans to go on 5 is what it sounds like to me. Sounds like their team's like, hey, we anticipate that 5 is going to be big for our game. Like doesn't really make sense to, if they have plans to go to 5, to be like not working within the most recent Unreal Engine that's going to be going to 5. Like if they have the ability to just transfer it over pretty easily, like relatively would be relatively easy. Like if they can get that work done now, it sounds like this was the bigger step, was getting to 4.27 or whatever. Then going to 5 later is going to be the more of a simple step once they're ready for that. Like, hey, like that sounds great. Like I think they should totally go for that, and I think they're already on the right direction. Just getting, with this patch, like obviously it worked for most people. And like, yeah, and I'm with Mengus on it. Like, I don't think we should, they shouldn't be spending all their time trying to work out all the kinks for the 1% person. Like, just this person's important. Sure. This person is very, important. You want to have everybody be able to play the game, right? And you want to be able to like help them out. But like the 99% of the people that are having a good experience, you need to keep moving them forward as well. And you can catch that other person up later as you're going along. Like, your team should be large enough. Like, I think that's why they're trying to boost the team up again, is that like they can have the capacity to not only be working on those smaller projects like bug fixes and assisting like performance issues and whatnot, but then also working on your higher tier, your big picture,
the money maker numbers, yeah,
ideas. Your think tank guys at the company, at the studio, need to be constantly working and constantly thinking about what's going to take this game to the next level. And when you're thinking about a MOBA and you're thinking about a game that could be esport competitive, like, you have to be thinking about that, right? You have to be thinking about like, okay, esport competitive game needs to be like moving forward for years. Like, we're talking about games that last over a decade, if done well, if it hit the right stride, so it's kind of like, we're not even at release date yet, so like you have to keep those guys thinking like, what's going to take this game to the next level. And so I believe that they're thinking about those things, but as more people get added, it gives them the freedom to do that. You're not in the nitty gritty all the time. Like, oh, this bug. Like, same with any company, any company and any different industry as well. It's not just game development. That's just kind of a basic business standpoint.
Now, with Unreal Engine 5, is there any chance that it would, with Unreal Engine 5 compared to Unreal Engine 4, that it would be easier to port over to console? Is there something that maybe they've worked together with the other consoles to make something like that, easier in that regard? That could be a possibility that they're working towards as well.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I don't know how it affects the console porting process specifically, TBH. Now, it is worth mentioning because we've seen MOBAs in the past. Arguably every successful MOBA has chosen to stay at the engine they are in and just refine that as opposed to upgrading to a newer generation. Smite being a great example, right? They stayed in Unreal Engine 3. They're still there. And then we also, of course, see like League of Legends, Dota. They haven't really moved too far from the engine that they were at. They polished it, but they just refined where they were. So could the argument be made for a startup company that still has a small staff? Is it worthwhile risking the chance of taking several steps back at the possible higher outcome? Or would it be better to stay in the current path, stay in Unreal Engine 4, make as good of a game as possible in Unreal Engine 4, release the game in Unreal Engine 4, and just stay there? Tough question. I
don't think it's that tough of a question, because if you look at other MOBAs like Smite and like League of Legends, Dota, whatever, graphics don't really matter for those games. Graphics matter to the Paragon refugees. People were brought into Paragon because it looked so goddamn beautiful. And if they can do whatever they can to make it look even prettier, I think they should do it. Like Smite looks okay, but it's nothing like Paragon, right? And like, of course, League of Legends, Dota, the fucking isometric top down.
Yeah, I mean, on UE3, the Smite is high res. You bring them onto UE5, they'll be low res. Then they have to change their team name, and that wouldn't work out very well. So
you really can't control yourself. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He can't control himself. He can't.
I'm starting to think Bearded only plays Fault because he's like, oh shit, I can make all kinds of puns with that game.
Poor guy. I feel like there's medicine somewhere out there for a person like you.
I was doing puns today at work on our text train there. So.
Yeah. But Bearded and Russ, what do you guys think about that? Like staying or moving forward with the chances of having to take even more steps back?
I mean, I think it depending on how many it depends on how many of the steps back we're taking. It's got to be a calculated risk. Well,
that's the risky part of it. They won't know until they transfer. You know what I'm saying? So they don't necessarily have to release it to the public and then find out, right? But they're not going to know until Unreal Engine 5 comes out. They open up the project in Unreal Engine 5 and examine it. Until that point, they don't know. And then at that point, they have to make the decision.
I'm kind of confused though. Then it's conflicting with what you said earlier. You just said that 4.27 just kind of makes this an easy.
It's compatible
to UEFA.
No, it's compatible with it, but it's not 100% guaranteed it works.
I mean, but there's got to be
nothing is
right. I mean, but there's got to be a way to calculate your risk in doing it. There's got to be something that's like, okay, if we do this, this is our possibilities of happening, or like it's literally like you're not just going in blind. If you're going in just blind, then yeah, I understand why Smite and League and Dota aren't doing anything. It's like, well, we can't. If we upgrade, we literally could lose it all. Well, why would you even do it? Mm-hmm. There's got to be some way to calculate the risk. Now, whether it be
I'm sure they have ways, internally.
Yeah, there's got to be some way to do that. And if that calculated risk works out, like it's okay, a risk versus reward, you know what? Let's do it. Because it's always beneficial to be with the times and be able to, all right, we're now on the most updated Unreal Engine, like we stay with it. Like it'd be great to do that. If you're not able to do it, then it is what it is. It's not what Smite League and Dota do is they prove to you that you don't need to be with the times and you can survive with it. But like Mangu said, those are all games that aren't asking for a lot of, GPU
high fidelity assets and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with both you guys on that. Like, I think for people that played Paragon, many of the people that came to Paragon were because of how beautiful the game was and how just like just how stunning it was as a MOBA. Like no other MOBA was showcasing such good graphics and then just gameplay on top of that that's connected to such beautiful map and beautiful models in the game and whatnot. And I think that's something that's really important to that player base and something that can really reach out to gamers and other MOBAs and say,
like help push it forward.
This is us pushing forward the MOBA genre into the 21st century. Because like isometric MOBAs have, they're still doing very well, but their peak is far from already gone. Like they're still very popular. Don't get me wrong, but like in terms of their peak, they're not there anymore, and there needs to be a modernization of the genre, and I think that comes from a third person MOBA, and I think that, like, in my opinion, Smite doesn't carry that because it doesn't fit in my opinion the idea of a third person MOBA. You can't look up and down. You can only look left and right. You literally there's no Z axis. Is that the Z axis?
Yeah.
The Y axis? Right. It's missing an incomplete axis from a game. It might as well just be a top down MOBA. It's just top down MOBA that has the camera over your shoulder instead of. It's not a third person game, in my opinion. It is technically a third person game, but it's
2.5D. It's not 3D.
It is 2.5D. That's a good descriptor. So I think that's really important. Like they want, as they go into UE5, like, I obviously think like it has to be within UE's intention to make it as simple as they possibly can for developers to port over from the most up-to-date version to 5. They have to make it as simple as possible.
It'd be the most beneficial.
Use it.
Yeah.
It'd be that's like, it gotta be like a big thing for them, right? So I'd imagine they're going to make it as simple as possible. Hopefully it's simple enough that like, and I'm sure they'll look at the risk and reward. And if it doesn't look like it's going to be that easy, they'll pull the plug on going to 5 and then just try to optimize as much as they can with 4.27. Another thing with brand new versions of software is that it comes with all sorts of bugs. So like there's some reasons.
No, bugs are just in games. Come on, no.
There's some reasons to not go to UE5 just because they're going to run into bugs on the software side, not even just game related, but just from using the software. So like you see that in all sorts of different pieces of software. So I don't know, like what it will come down to once they actually get into it, and hopefully it works out just great. But I think obviously some of the stuff that if the people viewing the stream right now have not seen what UE5 is capable of, or the trailers and stuff that they've showcased, like it's going to be a great engine for this game to be on, I think, if they can make the switch. So
it's looking really promising for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I want to cover the last 2 little bug fixes to mention, and then I'm going to hit you guys with probably a deeper question, and we'll end on that question, right? So the 2 bug fixes on aspects. Queen, they fixed an issue where Queen was not giving the spell vamp the adjusted increased amount that we were mentioning. And then on Beast Hunter, they fixed an issue causing the Pelt Hunter portion of it to keep stacking past 100. That one sounds scary. But so let me ask you guys this. And I kind of gave Mangoose a version of this question here yesterday. I want to hear from each one of you what you guys think about, is the Fault community, and when I say Fault community, I mean active community supporting the game right now, not potential. Is the Fault community ready to support this game for the next 5 years? Because a lot of them are worried about, we want now, this year or next, blah, blah, blah. But do you think they're actually ready to stay supporting this game for the next 5 years?
I don't remember you asking me this question.
Well, I know, like I asked a version, like a slight, like a tweak version of it. But you were also, we were pretty lit. So
a lot of it's going to depend on the competitors. We haven't seen Fault actually compete with anybody because there's nobody else out there with a fucking playable game. But we've got Overprime that's about to release. It's very different from what Paragon was, but still, it's going to gather. It's going to be a competitor.
It's going to be a 3D MOBA in the market. Yeah.
We'll see how many people still stay with Fault, or if anybody goes over to Overprime. Maybe people will play Overprime for a bit and be like, okay, this isn't what I wanted. And maybe they'll go over to Fault and be like, okay, this is what I wanted. But then we have Predecessor on down the road that'll be releasing eventually. We got to see how they compete. We got to see what happens there. That's the only time we can truly answer that question, because right now we have no fucking idea.
Magoose has said it a couple times, either in the partner panel or just in my streams, or whatever, we're just BSing. That the scare is that Fault is just that filler until the other games come out, and that's the scary part. Is that, like, what's going to happen when they have to compete, when these other games do come out, and you have a choice when you sit down to play a game, and now you have a choice. What game do I play? Is it Fault? Is it Predecessor? Is it Overprime? Is it Ethereal? Which one am I going to actually load up when you're sitting down to choose? Which one am I going to play today? That's when we're going to find out how things are going to, that's when the tire meets the road there, and how things go. And it really depends on how SMS is able to react to all of that and able to perform when it comes to the marketing side of it, to encourage everybody to either stay or to gather new people coming in. So it's a tough one. As it sits right now, being honest, no, I don't think this current community is ready for that.
Russ, any thoughts?
I think for me, I from my specific community, I know my community members I've seen a lot of them as people that have been waiting for a Paragon successor for a long time, and I didn't have any issues waiting as long as they have. I don't think they'll have any issues waiting for a successful remake. And I think that right now Fault is on a very good, like, yes, there's certain issues that occur, but like in the big scheme of things, like I think they're on a great track. Yes, you when you start to think about like the competition side of it, like I don't think that Fault should really, like, the Fault team themselves should really be worried about that. They should just be worried about creating as complete of a game as they possibly can. I think like that should be the goal. It shouldn't be the competition side. In terms of where the player base goes, that's just going to come down to I think personal preference on what style of game they want to play. Like I don't think these games are going to be close enough when they're complete. Like from what I've seen of both the games, I don't think they're going to be close enough, even though they have the same characters and everything. The feel of the games so far, from what I've seen, they're far enough away from each other that I don't think I don't think one person will like both of them. I think
they're all going to be different.
The other, they're going to be so different. Yeah. All these games that we've seen, that like you're gonna go and you're gonna like, because you truly can only play one MOBA like competitively. You can't, even if they're the same characters, they're different enough and the items are very different, right? That you can't truly be at a competitive level with all these games at the same time. So you have to kind of go one route. And I think that's going to come down to personal preference in the end of the day. And I personally feel that Fault is in a pretty good start right now, being the fact that it's been a playable game for quite some time. Like many of us, many of the people that I see in the chat, like have been community members that have been a part of this community for over a year, if not 2 years. So they have a lot invested into the like the testing of this game, the data collection of this game, just like the being community members within the game itself as a whole. Like I think, people are known within the community, and if they go to this another game, whichever game it is, like, it's not going to be like, I think there's something to be, something about like this game has been a game that you've played with your friends for the last 2 years. So I think it's going to be hard to pull away from that. But I think, yes, everybody's going to want to try out Predecessor when it comes out. I'm sure all the people that have been playing Fault, because it's been something that's or any Paragon successor, people are going to want to go check it out. But I think it's going to be up to what do these other games bring too, and I don't think Fault needs to worry about that as a team. I don't think they should be thinking about that at all. Like let's just do our own thing, and we'll just put out the best content, best game we possibly can. That's how I feel about it, and I think that's how they should. I hope that's how they feel about it, and I hope and I
think that's the route they take.
Believe that's where they're at with it, but
I will say though, what excites me? And I might be weird for this. I'm excited for the day that all these games run out of epic assets.
Oh no, definitely.
That to me is the most exciting. Because think about it. We're going to see individuality. We'll see unique heroes, unique kits. Some games are already making unique heroes with unique kits, right? Like, I think that individuality is needed. Let's make that separation, because here's the thing, like, but a lot of people don't realize that at the core level, the decisions being made, the meta is being set, the way items are being created, maps are being designed, all these games are very, very different mobile wise, right? It's just the fact that they're using the same characters, they're using all these epic assets. That's why people compare them. As soon as all these epic assets are out, like, think about it. Do you guys actually know the total roster of Paragon heroes, including Boris, when they shut down? Does anybody know that? So
it slipped my mind.
Stud just said 40, but I don't know if it's true.
40? Okay, so let's just say 40
or less. So
okay, right. So he threw a qualifier out there. So
2034 or less.
Yeah, right. It's something like that. So just for argument's sake, let's say the number 40, right? I'm a little excited to see the original 40 come back. I'm hella excited to get to that point. And again, probably a good 5 years down the road or more to get to the point where these games have 80 characters. Like a full-fledged MOBA, have a good character pool, 80 characters. We have the 40 original and the 40 new generation, where you actually have so much variety of characters to choose from that you're going to be able to tell that these games are so different. At that point, you'll stop looking at those games, at all the games, as Paragon remakes. At that point, you're going to look at them as it's a MOBA that use epic assets. You feel me?
Yeah.
It's just they're in that awkward stage where they're going to be compared no matter what they do.
We've been asking for that, since we've been pretty much doing this partner panel window. Like, we've been wanting, the map. Like, we know that they're coming out with paragon heroes or epic assets, where you look at the heroes, but like you don't need to use an epic asset map. You make your own map, something like this is ours, and lay claim to that and give us something beautiful, and this map, while yes, there are epic assets in there, there's also some, individual, assets in there as well. So it's nice to see and the growth that's happening. So it's getting there. And the more IPs we have, the better it's going to be, I believe.
Yeah. So let's do this, guys.
35.
Okay.
So it was close to 40.
So let's do this. I want to go ahead and call it because one, we're about that 2 hour mark, right? Like we definitely always talk way too long. Mangu stopped me yesterday at an hour and I was like, that feels weird.
Hey. Tier list, that tier list, hours, man. Holy cow!
Hey, man, yeah, that definitely was something else. But let's keep it at about the 2 hours. That's perfectly fine podcast length, right? Now, I wanna pose you guys with just a question that I don't want you guys to answer. Just a question to think about for future partner panels. Even Russ, if you're more than welcome to come down, of course, right?
The answer is yes.
Oh yeah.
I hate you, bro. So I wanted to ask you guys,
true or false?
do you guys think that if Strange Matter doesn't make another major change, character, map, skin, whatever, right? If they don't make another major change in the first quarter of 2022, will that hurt them? Just ponder on that. We're already here 1 week down into the first month. We got 2 months and 3-ish weeks, right? Will it be detrimental to them? Like if they pull like a patch 14, for example, and they're like, we'll give you something big in 6 months. By July. You get what I'm saying? So just think on that. Let's do our outros. If you remember the order, going Russ, Mango's Bearded, then myself. Let's do our outros, do your plugs, throw whatever you want to throw in there. Be greedy with it. No shame. Go ahead, Russ.
Guys, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. All you guys from the Rust Bus that stopped by, thank you guys for stopping by. Twitch.tv. Russ_the_gamers, where you can find me. I stream, I don't know, 3 times a week usually, and then I also been posting over on my YouTube. Russ the Gamer is there as well. I don't believe there's any underscores in that one, but you can find me in all those spots. But then I guess that's pretty much all I have. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
For sure. Yo, shout out for doing the YouTube videos, bro, because I totally noticed. I went in there and I'm like, hell the fuck yes. Leave a like. Everybody subscribe. Actually, it was dope. Go ahead, Google.
Just first time I've ever talked to Russ. Really good meeting you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well.
Fun hanging out. I'll definitely be coming to your streams a lot more often from now on. Good times had by all. I would just like to point out that I did answer Windu's question correctly before he even asked it. Bearded.
I can't with him, bro. I just told you don't answer. You don't listen. Jesus, go Bearded, bro.
I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out. Really love doing these partner panels. Russ, thanks for stopping by. And you're always more than welcome to stop by whenever. And you guys know where to find me because you're currently here. So,
but what if they're on YouTube or podcast, bro? Where do they find you?
Well, on YouTube, Windu's going to put my links down below. On podcast, Windu's going to put my links down below.
I hate him. It's lazy.
Got him.
Bearded Wolverine, you can find me anywhere. So, let's have a good one.
Yo, but I appreciate everybody tuning in, whether it was the amazing cast that we had today, whether it was on Twitch live. on YouTube, on podcast form, wherever you're actually watching the content, just throw a GG in the chat, in the comments, and whatever the hell pops up on Spotify and all that shit. If you can write on there, thumbs up it, everything. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, showing some love, and we look forward to the next week. Much love.
Peace.
Bye.